Hey, what's going on, everybody? Storm Chaser Brandon Scott here with WX Live for your latest update with Tropical Depression 9 and Hurricane Umberto. It is September 27th, 2025 at 11:12 p.m. So Saturday night, and we just got the latest 11 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center on Tropical Depression 9 and Hurricane Umberto, which I wasn't really going to talk about Hurricane Umberto much, but it is quite impressive out there right now, spinning in the middle of the ocean with a maximum sustained winds of 160 miles an hour. So we're going to take a look at that. We're also going to take a look at Tropical Depression 9, which is going to be soon Tropical Storm Imelda, and then Hurricane Imelda. And, that's what a lot of people are interested in because it's going to be coming so close to the South Carolina coast and Florida coast. So we're going to dive into all that here coming up. But first, let's take a wider look at the tropics here. So what you see right in the middle of your screen spinning, that's Category 5 Major Hurricane Umberto. Maximum sustained winds right now of 160 miles an hour, and we'll have a closer up look view of that here in a second. And then over here is our very broad, sloppy Tropical Depression 9, barely holding itself together, trying to get strengthened here before it goes up the east coast of the United States, and we will talk about that as well. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look at Hurricane Umberto. It's just an impressive satellite picture. By the way, thanks to tropicaltidbits.com for all of the information. Dr. Levi Cohen is awesome. If you guys have never seen any of his videos, it's Tropical Tidbits on YouTube, and also every one of his, let me reload this page because that's annoying. Every one of his videos that he posts also goes to the homepage of tropicaltidbits.com. Tropicaltidbits.com provides, modeling data and all kinds of stuff, and you see it used all over the YouTube community. So thank you so much to Dr. Cohen. But anyways, here's major category 5 Hurricane Umberto, sustained winds 160 miles an hour. Look how impressive that eye wall is. I mean, it's when you see hurricanes like this, they're always super impressive. This is going to be a fish storm. There's a slight chance that it can interact with Bermuda. But other than that, it's basically just going to be imparting influence on Tropical Depression 9. So that's basically its role here, but very impressive nonetheless. One thing to keep in mind about, very strong hurricanes is they're almost always very small hurricanes. So because of the physics behind everything, when it gets this powerful, it has to be a nice tight little buzzsaw in the middle of the ocean there. And so relatively speaking, like if you look at the size of Tropical Depression 9 and the size of, the hurricanes, is like 3 or 4 times the area that it's taking up. So something to keep in mind when you're talking about really strong storms is they tend to be really small storms. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at on IR is the I guess you can call Tropical Depression 9. It looks a little more organized than it did yesterday, but also not as organized at the same time. The low, if you can kind of see this, is according to the National Hurricane Center, is like here somewhere. And it is broadly rotating. You can see that if you kind of look at the underneath clouds, kind of this way, and then it's rotating this way, and then around this way. I don't know why it's flashing like that. One second. It's really annoying. But nonetheless, it is expected to become tropical storm is Imelda sometime tomorrow, and just kind of chug right along. The forecast track has changed significantly for this in the last 24 hours. But yes, very disorganized, very large, very broad pressure, like low pressure area. You can see here with these kind of outer bands that it is trying really hard to get some tropical features to it, but just the island of Cuba is very mountainous, and it's kind of just disrupted it, and it's got the Bahamas to go through here, so you won't really see any actual intensification of the storm, like strong intensification, until it gets north of these islands, and then it will start forming. But very sloppy, very kind of disorganized looking for right now. All right, so let's go to the National Hurricane Center's official forecast track for Umberto. I just wanted to show you this, but I was like, wow, that changed a lot. No, this is for Umberto. Right, you see here, maximum sustained winds 160 miles an hour, moving northwest at 13 miles an hour. Major category 5 hurricane, and it's expected to just go out to sea. Bermuda is here in the cone of uncertainty still, so folks in Bermuda will be looking out for that possibility coming up here on Tuesday. But as of right now, looking like this is going to be just a fish storm. All right, so next graphic. This is the big update today. Tropical Depression 9, soon to be Tropical Storm Imelda and Hurricane Imelda. You'll see here in a minute, a lot of the consensus from the models has been that it is going to take that right turn. Kind of yesterday, it was going to be taking the right turn up here by South Carolina, kind of Savannah, Georgia, Charleston area, and now it's going to be taking a much sooner right turn. In fact, they adjusted the track more to the west today. And on some of the model runs, which we'll look at here in a second, you'll see that it actually is going to interact with the eastern coast of Florida. So that's why we have tropical storm watches up right now for the coast that runs from about Flagler County down to about Boca Raton or Melbourne area. And so basically you guys are going to get a glancing blow. Another thing to remember about this kind of passing storm for the folks that live in Florida is this is kind of taking like a Hurricane Matthew type route, where Hurricane Matthew was much closer, kind of went up like this and then turned out. That hurricane caused a lot of damage to a lot of people on the east coast of Florida, because you have to remember hurricanes spin counterclockwise like this. Okay. And that was the world's ugliest arrow. But basically, and as they're going by Florida, they kind of push the water into the state. So if it's strong enough or large enough, it can definitely clog up the mouths of rivers, cause inland flooding, can cause the intercoastal areas to flood, and it can be quite a problem. I mean, Hurricane Matthew did billions of dollars of damage in Florida and never made a landfall. So it'll be interesting to see if just how close Imelda gets to Florida. If it gets any closer than this, like if they adjust the track and say it starts riding like here, it could be a pretty big issue. Because if you remember correctly, when Hurricane Matthew went by some years ago, it was only a Category 1 storm. It was a 5 down here in the Caribbean, then it went to a 1 and caused a bunch of damage in our area. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for the folks of Florida. As far as Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina is concerned, the National Hurricane Center says you're not even in the cone of uncertainty anymore. I mean, I've never seen them do this before. So yesterday, the last part of the forecast track, so just 24 hours ago, was like right here, and the cone of uncertainty was like this. So, now just 24 hours later, I guess the models have gotten their act together, and they're saying, hey, you guys aren't even in the cone of uncertainty anymore. That's basically the National Hurricane Center saying there's no way we think this storm's going to go west of this bubble. And I don't know how that could happen in just 24 hours, but we'll look at the model runs and see for ourselves. Some of the models are still showing it rather close to the coast, but the National Hurricane Center, they don't just use models. They use aircraft reconnaissance data, global data, weather balloons, things like that, and years and years and years of experience forecasting these hurricanes to come out with their official forecast. So I do trust the National Hurricane Center. They are usually pretty spot on with their forecasts, but it's just weird to see how much it's shifted to the east in just one day. It looks like it's heading, hey, look out Bermuda. I feel like Bermuda is just always in the firing line and somehow never gets hit by these storms. But we'll be keeping an eye on, Friday, Saturday for a Bermuda landfall. Folks in the Bahamas, you're going to get, wide scattered storms. Maybe some inland flooding risks, things of that nature, but it's nothing that the Bahamas hasn't gone through before, and should be just a minor inconvenience for the folks down there. Okay, so let's go to the next part here. Forecast models, man, this is my favorite part. So this is the GFS. This is the 18Z run, September 27th. So the freshest, newest thing out there right now. So you can see Umberto and Imelda coming up, and you can see just how close this actually gets. Let me make sure you guys got a good view of it there. You do. Just how close this gets to the Florida coastline. in this model run. So it's down here in the Bahamas. So this is present day. Down here in the Bahamas, gets itself together tomorrow at around 2 p.m. Kind of starts getting those tight rings of pressure, and then gets even stronger. Now it's looking like a really good hurricane. This is tomorrow at about 2 a.m. or so. I guess it wouldn't be tomorrow, but the next day. And then right as look how close it gets to the Space Coast right here. I mean, these like right here, this is Cape Canaveral. Let me illustrate that. So you got Cape Canaveral right here. You got Melbourne, Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. And so all of these areas should be keeping an eye on it, especially this area here. Because like I said, if it gets any closer to the coast than this, it will cause, damage along the coast, the intercoastal flooding, backing up the mouths of the rivers, things like that, which we certainly don't want. 1 second. I did that yesterday too. It's just still the GFS, right? Yeah. Okay. So it goes up the coast and it backs away from the coast a little bit, starts going a little bit to the east, and then kind of keeps its strength and then just kind of turns to the right. I mean, this model has drastically departed from what it said it was going to do yesterday. So basically this thing's taking a right before it even gets to Jacksonville, basically off the coast of like Flagler County, Palm Coast area. It's just going to take a 90-degree right and get pulled out to sea by major Hurricane Umberto here. And that's another thing too. This hurricane right here being so strong and so powerful that it's influencing this very heavily. And I think the models have kind of leaned on that, and the National Hurricane Center have leaned on that lately. So, or today at least. So going forward, and it kind of just gets swept out the ocean. Wait till you see what the Euro says it does. But yeah, this is the latest GFS. Kind of takes it right there off Flagler County. Huge difference from yesterday. I mean, yesterday the GFS had this storm like up here in South Carolina. So it seems like the models are starting to get their act together. This is a very one thing everybody needs to remember. This is a very unprecedented situation. This does not happen ever. Two storms, tropical storms this close together, especially two powerful tropical storms. I mean, if Umberto wasn't there, this would be a major storyline. This is something that even the models don't have any clue what's going on right now, because this is very unprecedented. It happens this is like a once every 20-year occurrence. Two storms this close to each other. So give them some grace, But I tell you, this scenario will be training models for the next, I don't even know how long. Okay, so on to the Euro. It is different than the GFS. So the Euro keeps the hurricane or tropical storm at this point off the coast of Florida a lot farther than the GFS does. The GFS was kind of riding like this area here, and the Euro is about twice as far away. Typically, I prefer the Euro model. It's been more accurate for me in the past, but I take every storm is unique with a grain of salt. I take all these models with a grain of salt. You have to kind of combine them and also use the National Hurricane Center's forecast, and we'll look at that compared to this in a second. But it goes up much further from the coast than the GFS, gets to about Jacksonville area here, keeps going all the way to the South Carolina coast, stalls for a second, and then turns. So the Euro is a much more conservative with its turn than a GFS is, and it's also pretty convinced that it's going to get a lot closer to the South Carolina coast than the GFS is. That's why I kind of question the National Hurricane Center's published forecast today, because the Euro clearly still shows that this is going to have impacts to the South Carolina coastline, and that it can get very close to the South Carolina coastline, and closer than the cone of uncertainty currently has it right now. So when the National Hurricane Center, drops their cone of uncertainty down to here, so everybody's thinking like, oh, well, this is as far as the hurricane could possibly go. But then you go to one of our best models that we have, the Euro model, and it's saying, well, actually, it can go further than that. This is not the Euro model. This is the Euro model. So this model right now is located outside the cone of uncertainty for the National Hurricane Center's model forecast. So, take that with what you will. But like I said, this is an unprecedented situation, and the models, the forecasters, everybody's learning as we go here. So Keep your eyes peeled still if you're in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, North Florida. You really shouldn't take your eyes off the storm because it could do some funky stuff, being that other storm is so close to it. So anyways, the euro kind of goes up, and then as it starts going away from the coast, the euro really wants to put it into Carolina, and it goes back and makes a landfall in North Carolina. So very interesting. So if we'd run the whole thing, so it comes up the coast of Florida, kind of gets close to South Carolina, kind of wobbles, kind of tries to follow Umberto, stops, wobbles some more, and then eventually turns back towards the coastline and kind of breaks up a little bit, which is very interesting. It'll be very interesting in the next couple of days to see if that actually plays out or not. Okay, so you get the AI model here. This is the Euro's AI model. It's kind of like LLM for hurricanes. It's not actually modeling the physics. It's more like it's trying to predict based off training data and historical data what's going to happen. So it comes up to the coast just about as far away as the Euro did. So far the GFS has been the closest one. Goes to the coast of about Jacksonville, and then takes a right, just like its big brother, the full Euro model does. I mean, this looks very similar to what the Euro is saying. And let's see what happens. Stalls, and then goes north. So both the Euro and the AI Euros tend to think that this is going to stop here and either turn back into the coast of Carolina or go north. So if, like I said, if you guys are in Carolina, don't take your eyes off the storm. There, we are seeing some models, and it has been over the last few days showing that this storm could do like a loop-de-loo and go back in, but that's so far out. So we're just got to keep an eye on it. Here's the Euro ensemble models. So remember, each one of these red numbers, each one of these red dots is a different member of the ensemble. So remember, when they run these models, they run them several times and then take a mean, and that's what they get as the model. But this is what this is showing you is what every time they run it, the members, this is the solution that came out. So the model believes that each one of these numbers is a solution that could happen. So if you look at 80, this one right here, for example, it's taking this hurricane all the way just offshore of like St. Augustine, Florida, which would be awful, and then going out. But most of the ensemble models kind of, do what the Euro says. But this is so interesting to me because look, you've got, if I pause it right here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 models or members of the model trying to make this a landfalling hurricane. And you've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 members not making this a landfalling hurricane. So it's basically like 50-50 right now. And yet the National Hurricane Center's cone of uncertainty does not include any of this area, when clearly the ensemble models, some of the runs have shown that it is possible for the storm center to be on land. So that's why I said, I am kind of a little confused about the 11 p.m. advisory. Maybe the National Hurricane Center has a sneak peek at some models that I don't, that kind of this scenario is not playing out, but we'll have to look at it on the next update of the model runs to see kind of what the National Hurricane Center is looking at there. Here's the H-Wharf. Love this model. And it basically does the same thing as the Euro. So right about off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida here, it just kind of meanders and then takes a right and goes out to sea. And so you got to remember yesterday, if you remember 24 hours ago, the H-Wharf had the South Carolina coastline taking basically a direct eye wall landfall, and the eye wall just sitting over Charleston, South Carolina for like a day, which would have been awful and totally devastating. But now it's kind of chilled out on that, and it's kind of picking up on that right-hand turn like the rest of them. All right, Google DeepMind here. This is another AI model run by Google. I love to see all these companies, by the way, getting in on this. The more data, the better. The more modeling, the better. Even though these are AI models, they're not actually doing the physics. They seem to be pretty good. Google's model has been pretty good this year. And you can see the spaghetti graph for Imelda. And if I hit the play button here and you kind of look at the slow pressure and then the storm, and you can see it kind of go up, and it's kind of doing the same thing as the GFS. So the GSF takes that hard right turn right off the coast of, say, St. Augustine, Flagler Beach, Google DeepMind, the same thing. Interesting to know, a couple of the Google DeepMinds, yesterday it was more than this, but only 2 of the Google DeepMind members, ensemble members, are now saying it's possible for South Carolina landfall. I don't know if this is maybe one of the models that the Hurricane Center is kind of seeing and kind of taking into the forecast track. So at this point, folks, it does look like the National Hurricane Center and most of the models, except for the Euro, is saying that South Carolina and North Carolina are in the clear and that Florida's in the clear. I would say, though, that if you live anywhere in this area right here, keep an eye on this storm. Because, like I said before, this is an unprecedented storm. It's a binary system, the Fujiwara effect, yada, yada, yada. All the jet stream, everything that's going on with the weather in the United States right now is making this storm extremely hard to forecast. And yes, we do have some more agreements on the models today than we did yesterday. That's for sure. If you remember my video yesterday, this didn't even make a coherent shape. It was totally just everywhere. I didn't know what was going on. We do have more agreements on the models today, and it does look like it's going to take a right turn eventually. But the question is, as always with these hurricanes, is timing. When is it going to take that right turn? We do not know. Nobody really knows right now, and I think we'll have a better definitive answer tomorrow. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit that bell, tune in tomorrow. I'm trying to get 2 videos out a day. I can only get 1 out right now because I've been so busy. But I would like to get 2 videos out, say 1 at the 11 a.m. advisory and 1 at the 11 p.m. advisory, like this one, and so we can get a definite kind of better picture of where this storm's going to go. All right, guys, I'm Brandon Scott with WX Live. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.